What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at Dungeons of Edera 2. This is the sequel to a flawed little dungeon crawling RPG that we covered a couple of years ago. I think I covered it once or twice, and it was one of those games that it felt like if it had had a higher budget, more animators, and generally just more attention to making the game feel good, probably would have been dead on the money for a procedural dungeon crawler. But alas, due to engine limitations, I don't think that ever really happened. Well, the developers are back right now with a sequel that's just gone into a playtest alpha. So this is supposed to be like a vertical slice of what the game is going to be like when it comes out. I don't know exactly what the release dates are looking like for this game. On their Steam page right now, it says coming soon, so if they've still got another year or two of development in front of them, I've played about 2 missions inside of this game and got like a feel for what it's trying to do. It's kind of interesting. It's a game where you are a medieval mercenary, and in between rounds, you have sort of like this hub that's almost like the menus that you would have in a game like Dark and Darker, where you can buy gear, you can sell stuff, you can build up like a fort, and generally do little activities, but then from there you ready up almost like a, I don't know, dude, almost like a Rock and Stone Deep Rock Galactic lobby almost, and then you go into like these sprawling open world maps to do procedural quests as far as I can tell. I don't know if it's entirely procedural, but anyways, there's been things I've liked so far in the hour that I've spent with the game. There's been things that I think are definitely going to need to be polished up and cleaned up, but without further ado, if you wanted to get Dungeons of Edera for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description where you can check the game out. On top of that, you can also take a look down there for a bunch of other super sexy flexy Nerd Castle links, but let's go ahead and play the game. We'll dive on into single player, and I think the first thing that we've got to do at the beginning of the game is that we've got to make ourselves a character. It looks like in the finalized versions of the game, we're going to have both a male and a female version of a paladin, a fire mage, a berserker, a storm sage, which sounds really interesting to me because I love lightning wizards, dude. Any class that uses lightning, I'm going to be automatically attracted to it. I just can't help it. I want to call down the crackle on some dorks, you know? I want to fizzle them on out. I want to do that thing where, like, I think it's Force Lightning's fault, man. I really think that's what it is. The first time I saw Emperor Palpatine just be like, and like electrocute the hell out of somebody with like lightning bolts coming out of their eyes, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to do that. That right there looks like the most satisfactory version of spellcasting. But for right now, it looks like we're on board with a paladin, or we can go with a fire mage. This guy has a doofy looking hat, and I cannot suffer doofy looking headwear. And so we're gonna go with the paladin for right now, and then I'll go ahead and just name him off real fast. No character customization to be spoken of. But some, as you notice from the fire mage, some of the armor that I've seen in this game definitely has open facing to it when it's like barbutes and things of that nature. I would recommend getting character creation in here. So first you make your character, then you pick your class basically, and it'd be nice to pick from different types of hairstyles, beards, skin tones, heights, builds, all that kind of stuff. It can only make your game a little bit better and more immersive. Helps get your player married to the character that they're actually playing and make them feel invested in it. But let's start the game off. So here we are in the lobby. You thought I was kidding. It's literally like a Dark and Darker lobby. You just hang out inside of here, and you've got like little things at the beginning of the game. You've got a stash, and you've got a quartermaster where you can buy some gear. Unfortunately, we are broke as a joke. The task of holy crusading around and shooting god bolts out of our hands at the enemy to obliterate them, unfortunately, has not been profitable. So we're a little bit broke right now. So instead, all that we're going to do is we're going to pick a contract. So we've got 4 different missions right here. We've got the Missing Signet, we've got the Eye of the Beholder, we've got Raid the Raiders, and we've got the Royal Expedition. It looks like we also get different reputations with different factions right here, although as far as I can tell, there's no meters or anything to tell us exactly where we're at with those various factions, nor do we have anything to give us any exposition or tell us who we're working for. So I guess we'll go for the level 1 Royal Expedition inside the Gren Forest. We'll give that a ride, and let's just kind of see how this goes. So welcome to the Gren Forest. Here we are in all of our medieval glory. Our mission for right now is to survey 3 points of interest. Whether or not that's for an invasion or something like that of a larger faction, I don't know, but they're going to be indicated by these little white flags that are all over the map. On top of that, we've got boss areas and other little activities we can do while we're in the neighborhood. So it's like there's a mining node back and to the left of us, although it looks like it's mostly blocked off by terrain. I don't know if we're exactly going to be able to get over there, but the first thing that's a little bit striking about this game is that this is like one of the first games in a while that I've seen actually go for the thick ink line sort of, I guess, Borderlands style cell shading. You don't really see that anymore. It's not super in vogue. Like, I feel like Borderlands is more or less the only game that's still rattling on with that. Ooh, we got loot over here. I feel like Borderlands is really the only game that's still doing the cell shading thing. But by and large, everybody else has moved on. There was kind of like a magical window in the early, like the late PlayStation, early PlayStation 2 era where it felt like everybody was doing the cell shading, but it's kind of fallen by the wayside stylistically. Let's go to the northeast, I guess. We do come strapped with a horse, by the way. He materializes out of purpleness, but, you know, he still rides just as good. So let's see if we can get ourselves over here to one of these points of interest. I'll probably, I think I see enemies up there, so I'm going to hop off my horse real fast, just in case, and it looks like this is indeed the place that we're supposed to be scouting. Let's check inside some of the buildings, see if there's any chests or anything good around here that we can make use of. Yeah, dude, we've got like leather boots, we've got like a couple of swords. I'll take them. I'm not really going to filter through too hard right now for equipment, but we've got our first enemies to deal with. So one of the first things that I noticed about this title is actually that like the animation fidelity and the impact of attacks going up against enemies has been upgraded pretty considerably. Like, I find that the first game, the combat feeling good was one of those things that the first game really truly struggled with. This game, there's still some work to be done in getting the combat to feel truly good, like something like Shadows of Mordor, for example, which I think is like the perfect example of a game that feels really, really great. Oh my god, I've got a spear sticking out of my head. Alright, well, let's take down a couple of more orcs. I'll block that real quick. Our character comes with a shield, also comes with a sword. As you might assume, character can both attack and block with those utilities. Oh, he blocked that right there? He actually managed to pull off that parry. Damn, bro. Okay, I'm just gonna walk up on this guy, and if he doesn't throw... Man, that guy was parrying everything right there. The good news is this is a very action... Oh my god, things sticking out of me everywhere. I think that may be conceivably one of the world's worst throwing animations right there. My suggestion would be is make the spears oh my god, what just happened to my camera? It just jumped on me. Okay, let's keep slashing away and maybe we can fight these guys back. Big block right there. Go ahead and take care of business. But anyways, with that throwing animation, it's very, very janky. I would highly recommend maybe taking that throwing animation and getting it to have a little bit more flick to it, a little bit more weight to it. Blocking could definitely use a little bit more clunk and a little bit more oomph. Oh my god, they're coming in from everywhere. Okay, so apparently I just wandered into like the world's largest orc raiding party. And I haven't even had a chance to loot that previous location just yet. There we go. Flip around on him. We got spears being thrown out. I do like that dodge animation very, very much, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Once I've got a chance to actually breathe here. You, come here. Nope, don't throw another spear at me. You better come here. There we go. I'll tell you why I like this dodge animation. So take a look at it. When you go like that right there, or you go like that right there, I very much love the upper body flinch that precedes the body speeding up and then kind of kicking to one side or the other. Like, give that another look right there. That's a really good feeling dodge animation that doesn't rely on rolls or iframes, where it feels like your character's got weight and they've got momentum and they've actually got to get themselves moving when they're trying to get out of the way of an attack. And so I dig that right there. I don't know if enemies like infinitely respawn, but it says there's a treasure chest back here. And frankly, I'm a little bit of a loot whore, so let's go back and see if we can grab that treasure chest. That way we can diversify our paladin finances a little bit, dude. I didn't become a paladin to be broke. We've got an Arbidium Sword of the Eagle. Okay, I'll take all of that. I don't think he sees me just yet. Was there another one over here? Nope, that's the only one. All right, well, let's get the hell out of Dodge real quick. I didn't use any health potions while I was in here. The game definitely has a little bit of like a Diablo vibe to it, in the respect that taking damage is not going to be the end of the world from what I've seen so far. It gives you lots of spammable health pots, lots of spammable mana pots, that kind of stuff, and so I'm guessing the game is supposed to be a little bit more arcadey and also a little bit more action-focused. Is any of this breakable over here? not breakable, so we can't break through any of the loot on that side. Where is our next point of interest at? We've also got mining nodes up here. Let me see if I can work my way through some of these idiot orcs, and if I can, I'll see if I can snag myself something good out here. Got you. Oh, I tried to get him with the flick turn right there, but it didn't work out. Okay, got you. Got him. There we go. Took care of business. I also found that, like, the loot that's on the ground, it needs to have a little bit more gravity to it. I actually think the way that they expel loot could be quite a lot better too. Instead of the enemy dying and there just being a pile of coins on the ground that the player can't pick up for a couple of seconds until it fully materializes into the world, it would feel a lot better if when you hit an enemy there was a shower of coins that came out of the top of him, and those coins coalesced into the pile on the ground, and then they suck to the player if they're inside of like 5 yards. Right here we've got an ore mine. I haven't figured out exactly what these are for yet. I played the game for like an hour, and I hadn't had a chance to use any of my ore just yet, so I'm assuming some kind of crafting, right? We check out indie games here at the Nerd Castle, and I think it's been a long time since we've seen an indie game that does not have crafting involved in one way or another. I'm going to start making my way towards the boss, and then we'll just kind of like see how the game feels from there. So I'm guessing this little trail right here is what's going to take us up to our boss mob. That way we can smack him up for a little bit. George, I summon you. That's right, this horse's name is George, just like the donkey from the video a few days ago. I'm not a super original namesmith, all right? Sometimes you just got to go with the things that work, and George seems to be a crowd pleaser, and so we'll just call him George for right now. There is some kind of tower over here. I don't know if I can climb the ladders on it or anything, but let's go ahead and see if that's an interaction that actually exists inside the confines of the game for right now. No, it is not, although I would recommend having those little interactivities inside of your maps that generate. Having things like a zip line that goes from the top of a tower back down to the valley, or, you know, anything that you can cook up for a fantasy magic game like this to give players more traversal methods to get around a little bit faster. I find that people tend to enjoy stuff like that. All right, front of the castle. Let's see how much mayhem we're going to get ourselves involved with here. Enemies are no doubt going to see us at any moment. Honestly, what I like to do is I like to charge through on my horse. You're still alive, huh? All right, well, I'm going to fall back like so. Maybe throw a spear at one of them. Little advice for that spear animation right there. You're going to want to kind of inspire that from God of War, in all honesty. Spear throwing animation does not feel super great. Instead, what I would recommend there is a little bit of camera work, so the player should kind of like flick the javelin up into his hand. It should land as the camera zooms in behind his top right shoulder, and then it should throw with a little bit of a fluctuation zoom forward with the spear being thrown, and it should have a sound effect that's like whoosh, you know, to give it like a sense of weight, and then from there when it impacts on an enemy too, it should make some kind of thick and chunky like schlock sound, you know. That stuff right there makes the combat feel good. The combat's real close in this game, but it's not quite there yet. Like, it's so close to feeling good, but it's not exactly on the money as it stands right now. I'm gonna dodge out of the way of that. Keep wrecking up some orcs. You aren't just gonna parry god me this entire time, are you? Okay, got you guys. He's gonna throw, right? Yeah, he's gonna throw. Alright, and down go the orcs. I think that's the last of them. I do enjoy that they actually throw quite a few enemies at you at a time. I do think it makes the game feel much more enjoyable. Oh, he speared his own buddy. Interesting. So there's actually like friendly fire in this game. Perfect. I used up like all of my health potions in that last brawl, so I'm going to pick this one up right here real fast. There we go. Another health potion. Definitely not going to hurt, especially if I manage to get myself torched. I saw this chest over here when we were running by. What you got? Cloth breeches of the snake, a Wakara sword of the ox, and then a wand of the ox. Okay, let's push back further into the facility real quick and see what we can find here. Nobody down that way. I do like the little blood spatters and whatnot that you get on your character too. You're gonna throw, aren't you? Well, you better do it then. I hear the sound of marching around somewhere, but it sounds like all of the environmental sounds are kind of playing in mono right now. Instead of being like stereo and directional, it sounds like they're all just playing through both of my ears, which sounds kind of weird. Definitely lots of little things to kind of like iron off with this one. Let's take all that gear, and if we can get ourselves like a breather for just a minute, we can actually equip ourselves. So let me go through here. There's no real sorting method for right now for figuring out what's an upgrade and what isn't. You've got to go through each and every single item individually. However, that ring does have the stats that I'm looking for. In this game, you do have a stat spread. I actually fiddled around with it a bit. Because the game doesn't give you any pop-up tooltips or anything else like that to figure out exactly what the stats mean. Strength seems to be like a one-for-one correlation with how much damage you deal in melee. Constitution seems to be life. Endurance seems to be stamina. Dexterity is range damage, and I think intelligence is just magic damage. And so let's put something into Constitution, maybe a little more stamina. There we go. And then we've already got our ring equipped, so that'll help out a little bit. Let me find the sword in here that hits the hardest. I believe that it's Wakara's sword right here. The appearance of your weapon does change as you equip your gear. That includes all of the armor, all of the helmets, all of the everything. And so that's one checkbox that they've taken care of. As far as me personally, as an RPG gamer, I very much like my character to look like the things that I'm wearing. And that's kind of a non-negotiable point for me. There was nothing else back there, so let's carry on down the road, hopefully without pulling any more aggro. I think we already got the scouting confirmation for this place. Hey, treasure chest. There we go. Let's get them. Metal gauntlets of the wolf. Yeah, we could probably do something like that. What do we have going on here? So is that spear better than what I have? What does my spear do? Ranged weapon damage. This one actually doesn't have weapon damage on it at all, but I bet those gloves are better than what we currently have on. Those have 9 defense, which I'm actually pretty cool with. Do we have more enemies? We do. Down he goes. Get out of my face, bruh. I'm not trying to deal with this. Is there 2 of you right there? I'm just going to take the spear and not worry about it. I think the 10 defense should help us eat it. Those pants right there are 3 defense. I don't know if they'll be like fully better than what I'm trying to do. These are not helping my stats altogether that much. Or at least the stats that are relevant to my character. Really, bro? Really? You just gonna huck one of those at me from like 50 feet away while I'm trying to go through my inventory? The ability to pause while you're going through your inventory and whatnot would also be greatly appreciated here. Alright, well, let's take her on up the stairs and see if we can deal with this boss real quick, and then we'll get our 3rd survey point, and then we'll try to get out of here. They got the little Dark Souls gate right there. Oh, my man tried to do a big old stomp. Okay, yep, don't want to get hit by that. Can I stagger him if I stay in? I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem like he hits that hard. Come on, big dog. Come on, big dog. Got him. Down he goes. Oh, duck away from that real quick. Perfect. We got another one coming from this direction. What do you want to do? Swack your friends up a little bit. Just get you all out of here. Okay, chest from the boss. Did we get anything good? Actually, it looks like we kind of did. Let's take a second. I'm going to fall back for just a minute, and we're going to take a look and see if there's anything in here that's an upgrade. The lack of a pause, real headache in this game. Alright, so fully re-equipped with new gear right now. I'm rocking significantly more leather than I had previously. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to the gear in this game. Like, sometimes cloth has more defense than, like, plate. There's definitely going to need to be some structuralization and some standardization of the gear that exists inside the game, along with the appropriate buffs and nerfs depending on what you decide to equip. Like, maybe putting, you know, a lot more armor on plate gear, but having it require a certain amount of strength before you can put it on. All that would probably be good. Oh yeah, we've got abilities in here. Bulwark aura that gives me 50. Okay, yeah, let's go with Bulwark aura, and then maybe we'll go with Smite over here. Just a couple of points into that. How do I bind it to a key? Yeah, let's put that on like the, hold that down and put it on. Oh, I see what we're doing right here. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I have to go Control Q in order to use that. How does that look right there? I don't know exactly how it looks. Kind of hard to say at the moment. Maybe it needs an enemy to be in detection range to function. It said that the spell was calling down a beam of light like a death ray on an enemy. And so I'm guessing we need to have an enemy around before it's actually going to show up. Let's test it on this dude. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, yep, that right there. We got to have that Helm-style God of Light bombardment on our enemies. 449 damage. Dear sweet baby Jeebus, or whatever deity it is that empowers us to do this, I'm kind of like ambivalent on which deity it is. For now, it looks like if we follow this down, maybe it'll take us to our next point of interest. Kind of hard to say. I'm still getting used to the horse riding, too. Like, it doesn't feel like horse riding from, like, an MMO or anything else. It's like if you rotate a little bit too far in one direction while your horse is facing in a different direction, the camera pulls real sharp. So maybe a little bit of work left to be done on cameras with this game, too. It looks like we need to go to the south, and it looks like we've got to ride around this entire thing, so long as that stone wall that's indicated on the map is not actually a stone wall that stops us from moving. So right down the hill here, it looks like we've got our next point of interest. I'm going to mine this out real quick, just so I'm extracting something of value out here that might aid us a little bit further on down the line with our overall advancement. Let's grab the iron. Okay. I actually like the mining animation. I think it looks pretty decent. Kind of a mixed bag. Like, it's not, I don't even know that it would qualify as a mixed bag. It just seems like there's a lot of things that need to be tightened. Like, they're in an okay state right now, but ideally you want them to be in a great state. You don't want them to be, like, passable. You want them to be badass and feeling fantastic. That's how your game, like, competes and makes sales and sort of stands out to people that might want to play it. A common dull ring of the ox. I'll take it. Anybody else want to get vaporized over here? We can stay in on the map for as long as we desire to do. Oh, that's out of range. Okay. But it still costs us the mana. Blow you up real fast. Our defense has gone up so much, though, that I don't think these orcs really have anything to show us. Okay, got them. Are there any chests or anything in here? There are several chests. Well, I'd be an asshole if I didn't go pick up the chest, so let's go pick up the chest. Start scanning around inside some of these buildings and seeing what, like, financial goodies we can bring out with us. First chest, we've got heavy plate mail of the eagle. Okay, I can get down with that. The stamina's nice. The Empire sword's not as good as what we have, but we do have a new shield in there that might be nice to have. So let's maybe throw that on real quick, just so we have the upgrade. I don't know if I want 4 more stamina, although 4 more stamina does strike me as being quite a bit more stamina, considering every time you increase endurance by 1, you only get 1 stamina. So it's like the equivalent of 4 level ups. Really digging the look of this new armor. I think it looks nice. You guys gonna throw, huh? Alright, well, you get vaporized. Let's just done deal that right this second. You're definitely not going to hit me. I'm not sure I like the vibe of there being infinite enemies just kind of running at you from different patrols in different directions. I think you should treat this a little bit more like camps from Far Cry 3. So make the enemies a little bit tougher. I think the enemy volume is perfectly fine and it makes the game feel actiony. But from there, I would probably recommend having a set amount of enemies at each location, even if that means you have to increase the amount of them, because the game is weirdly enough close to the feeling of a Dynasty Warriors game. It could actually take inspiration from those avenues right now. Like, the gameplay is close enough that you could do it. And so just make each of these like a really big camp of orcs that you got to wipe out. Where the hell is this chest? It's like back behind the building. There's no jump in this game either, so that's going to be another thing you're going to have to acclimate to, is that every now and again you get a little lip like that, and there's just no way to get up over the top of it. Adding vault animations as an alternate for the dash, which is on your space bar, would also be a good idea right there. Let the player climb himself on up there. A firebolt rune. Okay, I can get down on the firebolt rune. Let's try that out. It's going to go in the slot where our javelin goes, but, you know, let's see if it works a little bit. Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, swapping out my rune made my sword disappear. A little visual bug right there. Okay, well, we're done here anyways, so the second we finish off with these dudes, we will teleport on out of here. So you've got yourself a teleport scroll. Just like in Diablo, you can use it whenever you want. I didn't test to see what happens if you utilize it before you complete all of your quest objectives. So I can't tell you what the fail state looks like in this game if you fail to get all of your objectives done. But anyways, there's our reward that we've gotten from, I assume, the king or whoever gave us that job right there. I don't know if when we get further into the game, this stuff is all going to unlock, or if that's going to be content that's waiting for later. It looks like we're going to get our own fort that we operate out of. It looks like there's going to be like persistent injuries or something that necessitate a healer possibly. There's a blacksmith, which is where I'm guessing all of the trade skill stuff is going to go. But after a few missions, I haven't gotten any of them, so it's entirely possible that since this is an early alpha playtest, that those things are not in the game as of right now. For the moment, I would recommend let's just go down the list here and figure out what stuff we have that we can sell and get rid of, and what things are actually going to be a good upgrade for our character. No upgrades inside the entire stack, so I just went through and vendored it all. Everything else inside of here doesn't look like it's good for us. I mean, the 3 Constitution, 10 damage sword might be nice. There's 12 defense pants right there, which are way better than what we've got, and they've got strength on them, so I'll probably throw those on real quick. But it looks like that's about the breadth of anything. I mean, we could get a chain right here. It gives us a little bit. I guess we could throw on that chain right there. There you go. Do your chain hang low. All right, so we've got 17 strength on that side. Think we're good to go on this side. It looks like it actually didn't catalog my iron ore either, so yeah, crafting's not going to be inside the game right now for the moment. But Dungeons of Edera 2, my thoughts. I think I've done a pretty good job of hitting it all while going through this video, just like live while we're cruising on through. But let me go ahead and I will do my best to get you guys my collated thoughts. So in brief, the general things that I noticed during my time with Dungeons of Edera 2 that need improvement would be enemy pathfinding. That's a big one right there. The enemies pathfind really weird and really sloppy in this game. Their animations could all be better, heavier, their wind-ups, enemy weight and reactivity to being struck. Those are all things that need to be seen to. Some of it can be resolved with just better camera work on the part of like player abilities, but the truth is a lot of the enemy animations and pathfinding are pretty rudimentary visually, which gives the game a cheap feeling. You really want to avoid that. Items available that drop their bounds on the stats that they can generate. They're way too wide. The upper and lower stat bounds need to be standardized around the actual equipment type, be it cloth, be it leather, be it plate, so on and so forth, with kind of like stat requirements in order to be able to put that stuff on. That way it doesn't feel like you're wearing cloth pants that have 5 times as much defense as your heavy plate armor, while also giving you fighter stats. Like, it's just a weird thing that once again makes the game feel a little bit cheap. From there, the directional audio felt like it's in a primitive state for me, both in terms of the volume and also the directionality and the distance to where enemies were at. It all kind of blended together almost into like a mono track for me. Sometimes it sounded directional, but most of the time it was just kind of noise mixed together in my ears. After playing for a while, I'm not actually sure that the map proceduralizes on any level. It actually seems like it's a set map, and that being the case, you're gonna need Forever Winter styled map modifiers that can randomly come up on maps, events that show up inside of those maps, all those sorts of things that diversify a static map in an RPG and make it feel fun and fresh, since this is obviously a game that wants you to dive back into the map multiple times in order to level up and gather gear. Some of the spell effects that I saw, they lacked the pop that they could have visually, but some do. Kind of a mixed bag there. I'm guessing that like half the spells are done and half of them are like placeholders would be my guess. Sound design when it comes to the combat does seem to be heavy and weighty feeling. The clinks and clonks and bonks and whatnot, they felt all right, and it's clear that they've learned some things at this studio since their first title. The combat on the player end didn't feel too terrible to me. It still needs tightening, but it's getting closer to like a Shadows of Mordor type feel that is honestly what you're aiming for. Shadows of Mordor has a really, really great feeling set of combat moves and whatnot. So if they can just bridge that gap with the last 20% right there to get it up to 100%, I'd say that the combat feels like 80% okay right now. But that extra 20% is where the magic happens, and it goes from okay to utterly fantastic. And so it might be a good idea to work on that a little bit. I like the ability to pause the game. That's a big one. Like, I can't dig through my bags. I can't, like, stop anywhere except for way out in the woods where there's no enemy paths in order to go through my stuff. I would like the game to pause when you're inside the inventory real fast. And then I don't think that I'm a fan of the endless spawns that happen at points of interest. I think you could actually replace them with larger hordes at those points of interest that are patrolling or whatever else. They don't replenish, but ultimately they kick off like a giant Dynasty Warriors style fight between you and like 50 different orcs. My inclination right now is actually on a gut level that this game would blend really, really well with some of the things from fighting spectacle games in an action RPG. Like, I've always felt like Dynasty Warriors could blend very well with the depth of an action RPG, and nobody's really done it yet. But in any case, a reminder, this is an early playtest alpha meant for collecting feedback. I've given mine, so we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see where it ends up around its time for final release. For right now, I would say that about half the stuff I played felt pretty fun and interesting, and then the other half kind of felt sloppy, or it just wasn't implemented yet. The good news here is everything that I've seen that's an eyebrow raiser is fixable just by tweaking with the game, messing with sound effects, redoing animations a little bit. I don't see anything on a fundamental core design level that will keep the game from getting those things done, and I actually think that this game could be pretty rad if the right bits get the TLC that they need before a release. And so, my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Dungeons of Edera 2. Tomorrow to be something else. Bye, folks.